Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special Thursday night edition of the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
I'm Matthew Burke.
And I'm Jennifer Burke.
And we are the Burke Brigade. We are original, well, not originals. We're not, 1700s editions. But we are modern-day original Tea Partiers. We went to the first ever Tea Party in modern-day America in Seattle in February of 2009.
The Porculus Rally.
The Porculus Rally to protest the bank bailouts. That was the beginning of the Tea Party. And so it wasn't just about Obama, who was coming into office and being a Marxist, as he is. That was scary. But it was also against George W. Bush, who had big government. He's a big government Republican, and conservatives were just sick and tired.
Right, and who abandoned his free market principles in order to save the free market,
which makes absolutely no sense. So that's who we are. We have been conservatives all of our adult lives. And for most of our adult lives, fighting for limited constitutional government and restoring the Judeo-Christian values that made the American culture unique, healthy, prosperous, and free.
The greatest country on God's green earth.
By far, nothing's even close. And to fight the powers out there, mostly on the left, but not exclusively, that want to destroy this country, that want to create chaos, anarchy, and mayhem.
And confusion.
In order to destroy the free market, destroy capitalism, strangle us with regulations, taxes, red tape, make as many people dependent on government as possible. And so they can try to implement their socialist communist utopia, which has worked so well in other countries like Cuba, where they still drive 1950s Chevys, not because they're classics, because the last time they had good cars in Cuba was the 1950s. Or Venezuela, where they're eating rocks.
Right.
Or the old Soviet Union, where they couldn't even afford toilet paper to wipe their rear ends.
Right.
And Levi's in the 1970s in the Soviet Union cost $200 a pair on the black market.
But honey, it's just that
they didn't have the right.
These countries just didn't have the right leaders.
They just need that. They're looking for the angels that can defy human the human experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, so. Starting right at the top here, this is hot off the press. This is pretty new. You may not have heard this yet today. And it's a bombshell story.
It is insane.
TMZ has it. I wrote about it on the Politistick. It's a blockbuster new report from the celebrity news site TMZ. Hollywood mogul and Democrat money man Harvey Weinstein, a progressive pervert. Hollywood Harvey. That's what we call him here on the Burke Brigade. Oh, Hollywood Harvey, because he stands for everything Hollywood, which is just a cesspool, a literal den of inequity. But his contract, if you can believe this, at the Weinstein Company allowed for him to...
Hold on. Hang on to your hats, folks.
Okay. Are you ready? Are you sitting down?
Yeah, are you sitting down?
You should always be sitting down when you're listening to the Burke Brigade.
This news will blow your mind.
The contract, his employment contract with his own company, allowed for him to sexually harass women. Yes, that's right.
My goodness gracious.
Now, he did... It was, conditional upon a couple of things. Number one, he had to pay the damages. But, as long as he paid the damages, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, just harass women, rape women, just pay whatever damages they sue you
for.
It's all good in the hood.
Right, it's all good. And, they did have some penalties. So TMZ founder Harvey Levin, he was on Fox News later this afternoon with Martha McCallum on Thursday, and made the startling announcement. And I think I'm just going to play this for you so you can hear it for yourself. It's unbelievable.
Thanks, guys.
So that was that from TMZ. Weinstein apparently had a clause in his contract that allowed for sexual harassment if he shelled out the money to make it go away. More on that. Harvey Levin is executive producer of TMZ.com, the outlet that is behind breaking that news, and he joins us tonight. Hi, Harvey. Boy, wow, what a busy week in Hollywood, huh?
Yeah, and this is a crazy story. We've been working on this all day, and we just posted it. So let me explain it to you. The short story is this. The Weinstein Company allows for sexual harassment under the contract it signed with Harvey Weinstein.
Can I ask you a question? Who does that?
I don't know what attorney would approve such a contract.
Who does that?
I mean, you would have to think that eventually it would get out.
I mean, that's like saying you can go murder somebody as long as you pay off the family.
And you know what else that says? That says that this fake, I'm getting help and I hope for a second chance, is as fake as a $3 bill, because he set up his company so that in his life he could sexually harass, intimidate, even rape women.
The rules enabled him. Basically, what the left is saying here, what the progressive perverts, the progressive predators are saying, that if you have enough money, then sexually abusing women is allowed. You just have to be able to pay off your get-out-of-jail card.
Right. I wonder what Donna Karan will say about this, since she basically blamed women who might wear her promiscuous clothing line for bringing it on themselves.
But we know blaming women is nothing new, because Hillary has made a career out of that.
Right.
And covering up for fellow sexual predator Democrat Bill Clinton.
Here's what we know. In October of 2015, Harvey Weinstein signed a new contract with them. And under the contract, it says that if Harvey Weinstein gets sued for sexual harassment, for any other kind of misdeed, and the company has to pay the judgment or a settlement, Harvey Weinstein can make everything good by doing two things. Number one, he has to pay the company back for what it paid the victim. Number two, Harvey has to pay a fine. And the way the fine is structured for the...
Okay, listen to this. First one slap on the wrist. Second one, 2 slaps on the wrist. Now, the fines here may sound like a lot of money, but to somebody like Harvey Weinstein, it's probably chump change.
For the first time he has to pay a settlement, the first time the company has to pay, Harvey has to pay a $250,000 fine.
Drop in the bucket
for the second judgment or settlement, he has to pay a $500,000 fine. For the third, $750,000. For the fourth, or any number thereafter, he has to pay $1 million each time the company has to pay a settlement or judgment for any kind of a sexual
let me ask you a question.
So if he makes a movie, makes 10 or 20 million, not a problem, because that's 10 or 20, women he can go out there and harass.
Right. And you know what? The fact that it was graduated like that is more, in my opinion, proof that they knew that the man was a serial abuser.
Right.
He was going to get to more than 4.
And the one thing that's left out of that clause, at what point does he get fired?
That's exactly what I was thinking, hon.
Now, when did... the thing is, they fired him from his own company. Is he going to come back now and sue them because they fired him for sexual harassment?
Well, I think we heard earlier that he could potentially sue them because
it wasn't in his contract.
It was in his contract that he could sexually harass and abuse women. So that was no cause to... And you know what? The same people who have been tight-lipped, closed-mouthed, or issuing these weak sauce statements about Harvey Weinstein, however you say his name, are the ones who were absolutely livid that Bill O'Reilly settled, a sexual harassment claim with someone over calling her hot chocolate. Not over having physically done anything,
or
exposed
groped her,
himself, groped her, said have sex with me, or
forced her to watch him masturbate. Nothing that lurid.
No, he called someone hot chocolate, and for this the left was outraged, but for Harvey Weinstein, crickets.
And ironically, the left has turned a blind eye to this, to Hollywood Harvey's serial abuse of women for decades. while they're desperately trying to paint this phony narrative that Republicans somehow have a war on women, when they are conducting a war on women.
Right. And hiding it.
And covering up.
It's more than him. You have multiple allegations now that have come out about Ben Affleck.
Yep, he's a groper. He's already apologized for groping. We have a feeling it's not the first time that was done. You have NBC that spiked the story. Even on, you have that reporter, what's his name, Ronan Farrow on MSNBC, NBC. So he's on NBC, MSNBC, and he's being interviewed by NBC people like Rachel Maddow, and he's telling them, I don't know why they spiked the story. You would have to ask the NBC executives.
Right, and they would
on their network. It's like you could go next door in the other room and ask them.
They wouldn't even get him, the camera crew, to interview this woman who made the accusation. So he got the crew on his own. And I read earlier that NBC said, well, the fact that Harvey Weinstein helped resurrect Woody Allen's career, who was Ronan Farrow's stepfather, might present a conflict of interest. That makes absolutely no sense. In fact, if memory serves me correct, Ronan Farrow doesn't have a lot to do with Woody Allen.
Right.
Because of things that transpired with Woody Allen and
his
the adopted daughter that he and Mia Farrow adopted together, and Woody Allen ended up getting together with the adopted
daughter. Because he's a pervert
and
too.
Marrying her.
He's a progressive pervert. Okay. Speaking of perverts, this is also breaking, and this is the Hollywood Reporter. They have an exclusive on this. It's HollywoodReporter.com. Amazon TV producer goes public with harassment claim against top exec Roy Price. Quote, "You will love my dick," Price allegedly said to Isa Hackett, a producer on The Man in the High Castle, which, by the way, is one of our favorite shows.
Can't wait to come.
Highly recommended.
Very well done.
Yeah, highly recommended. Who details a July 2015 incident at Comic-Con in San Diego. In the wake of revelations about Harvey Weinstein's alleged years-long sexual harassment and assault, a producer of one of Amazon Studios' highest-profile TV shows is ready to talk about her, quote, shocking and surreal experience with Amazon's programming chief, Roy Price. Now, ironically, Isa Hackett is the daughter of author Philip K. Dick. Now, if that's not a play on words, I don't know what is. Whose work is the basis for Amazon's The Man in the High Castle, as well as the upcoming anthology series Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. And of course, Hackett allegedly said, "You will like my dick."
Love
is of many splendid
goodness gracious.
things.
It's just rampant perversion.
But remember, the right has a war on women.
Yeah, Mitt Romney had a war on women because he had a resume with females, a binder with females' resumes, so that he could try to put them in higher up positions based upon, their work experience. That was a war on women. This as long as Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama were silent on for 5 days until they were forced to give a statement, and their statements were weak.
As long as you wear a pussy hat, you're good. As long as you wear a pussy hat and are for murdering babies, then the left, they don't care what you do to women. Vote Democrat, vote for the commies, and you can get away with anything for at least a season. But then eventually, as the Bible says, your sins will find you out. And that's what's happening in Hollywood, which we at the Burke Brigade frequently refer to as Hollyweird for obvious reasons. What is this?
This episode was deleted by its creator. We didn't delete it.
We didn't delete it.
Sorry.
Having technical difficulties. Okay, so we are back after that little technical difficulty. The former chair of the DNC, who was temporarily the chair, she took over for after Debbie Wasserman Schultz crashed and burned last year during the Democrat convention.
After it was revealed that she was rigging the primary against Bernie Sanders, Socialist Bolshevik Bernie, in favor of Hillary Clinton.
Crooked Hillary.
Then she was ousted, and Donna Brazile, who was no better, took over.
Oh boy. So Donna Brazile, all the way back on October 8th. Is that when that is?
Wow. It was right after.
No, that's not when it is.
It was right soon after the Weinstein stuff came up.
God, it doesn't have the date on this tweet. Anyway, she embarrassed herself.
It was recent.
Was it?
It was right after it all came out.
Wow. Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's see if it says when it is. This is on Twitchy.com, and the story says, pretty funny, yikes, Donna Brazile's now deleted praise for the Weinstein Company looks even worse now. As Twitchy told you a few days ago, after decades worth of accusations and settlements, I believe there were 8, concerning Hollywood mogul and Dem donor Harvey Weinstein became public, the company he co-founded gave him the boot. The move earned the Weinstein Company praise from Donna Brazile.
And it was on the 8th.
Was it?
Yes.
October 8th.
6:47 p.m.
So we're talking just days ago.
Massachusetts time.
Oh my goodness. I thought that had to be wrong. It's just a few days ago. I thought it was 2 or 3 years ago. And she actually had the audacity, the Obama audacity, to type on Twitter and hit the send button. The Weinstein Company has taken the lead against sexual harassment and assault.
And this is after they fired him from the group. This is when she tweeted that.
Why would she do that?
She deleted it pretty soon thereafter, but you know what?
Too late.
People always take a screenshot. It was too late. Too little too late.
You know, and this is the same company that we just talked about that actually made it okay for him to sexually assault.
Oh, Harvey, we know you gotta sow your oats. Just as long as you just pay it off and pay a fine.
Right, now I guess his wife is divorcing him, as if she didn't know. There is no way she didn't know.
What I read earlier was that she was concerned about what these charges, the impact it would have on her clothing line. Because another thing that Harvey Weinstein made women do, in addition to pleasure him, or watch him pleasure himself, is wear
God, you have to paint that picture.
Or was wear her clothing, wear his wife's clothing line.
Are you freaking kidding?
Yeah, if they had award shows and stuff, they had to wear his wife's clothing line.
Because she's a big designer. Ay, 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 ay.
Sorted.
Excuse me. Okay. There were some good things that happened today, believe it or not, and it's getting buried somewhat in the news. But the left is livid about it because we know one thing. The left, being communists and totalitarians at heart and in mind, they basically want the government to run everything. They want us all riding around on bicycles like they do in communist China. And they want you to work for, a few dollars a day and basically just be dependent on government for everything. So they hate free markets. They hate competition, and they're trying to destroy healthcare. Trump, to his credit, I think is trying to save healthcare to some degree. He's not nearly as strong on the issue as I would like to see, but he did do a couple of executive orders or today on healthcare. They were endorsed by Rand Paul. Now, I don't know. I haven't had time to research or really think through how this is even constitutional for the president to do this. But nevertheless, he did executive orders on health care, on Obamacare, that allow for the sale of insurance policies across state lines, which is huge. That should cause more competition. The only way to bring down competition bring down prices and improve quality. The only way mankind has ever designed is through competition.
Right, which is why when you go to some stores, they have a big old sign out there that says, "We price match."
Right. We did that
price
today.
Guarantee. Yes, because they know that people shop around to find the best deal, and they don't want to lose the business. In fact, remember that time we were at Best Buy buying a microphone for our podcast?
Yeah.
And I had a price from Amazon for the microphone that was about $10 less than Best Buy had it. And the woman, said, "Just give me a second." And she was typing and looking around and stuff. She goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I found it on such and such website, and it's $99.99 there. So I'll sell it to you for that amount." So she went out of her way to save us an extra $20.
Yeah, that's really great service. And we were in Vitamin Shop tonight, and we bought some stuff. I bought some stuff to help me as an old man work out, and asked if they matched on Amazon. They absolutely do.
Yeah.
So, that's a way you can support maybe some of your local stores that are employing some local people if you don't feel like buying everything from online, and keep some of the brick and mortar stores around, because a lot of them are matching prices. But we totally digress.
Yes.
So it allows for sale. Why this was ever illegal, I have no idea.
Right. And this is what
totally
Republicans
stupid.
Promised as they campaigned in 2016.
Right, as part of Obamacare repeal. And of course, the Republicans cannot get that done for whatever reason. Well, we know the reason, but and it allows, which Rand Paul was pretty big on, and I do trust Rand Paul on this. He's a libertarian on economic issues, which we are here at the Burke Brigade, and it allows for association plan. So let's say, a group of farmers or a group of plumbers or a group of like businesses wanted to join together and do join together as an association, basically bypassing the insurance companies.
Right.
They could do that. So again, more competition. Now, is this going to work? No, it's not going to work. It might. With that said, as positive this is, it's a step in the right direction. It's not going to work, because the whole premise of Obamacare and government involvement and the tinkering with free markets is not going to work. And this is why you need a full repeal of Obamacare. You can't have an insurance company insure against an unwanted event after it has already happened.
Right. And to listen to the left on television, condemn, what Republicans are trying to do with Obamacare is ludicrous. We were listening to Ezekiel Emanuel, one of the architects of
Rahm's brother.
Oh, yeah. Rahm Deadfish Emanuel's brother.
Commie.
One of the architects of Obamacare, who was once a Fox contributor, and I guess now he's a CNN contributor, talking about how this is just going to devastate the exchanges. And I looked at Matthew and I said, pause it for a second. And I said, what exchanges is he talking about? Because exchanges are already devastated.
Right.
There are some areas of the country that have no exchanges in them because the insurance companies left because they realized it just was not sustainable. And there are some that have one exchange in which they have one or two doctors to choose from. The exchanges are already ruined because of Obamacare. But you know what? Don't worry. CNN's Wolf the man Blitzer, just nodded his head and said, and then teed up another question for him to spew his lie-based propaganda.
Yeah, and then he gets on there, old Zeke, and he basically said that Obamacare was a Republican idea.
Right.
He blamed it on the Heritage Foundation, which is a total lie. This was he's pulling this out of his communist rear end. And it's the old lie the left tells, where we were close in this country to getting Hillary care, and the Heritage Foundation came up with a scheme that would have been not quite as bad. Not preferable, obviously, but it was not their original idea to have the government take over health care. This was a pushback, a pullback on the left, trying to bring them back to at least the center. But, while not admitting Obamacare's failing, he's admitting Obamacare's failing, because otherwise, why would he be blaming Republicans for it?
Right.
It's absolutely shameful.
And of course, Wolf Blitzer didn't correct him,
no, he blew him a kiss.
It was all liberals, including Chris Salisa, who we all know where he stands.
Right. He's a radical leftist.
Who just all was like, oh yes.
He looks like a rat. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, I hate to pick on the guy's looks.
Tonight was my first.
He looks like a rat.
Today was my first time actually seeing him on television.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, good for you. You didn't miss a whole lot. Let me just say that. Maybe a rat or maybe a weasel.
Weasel.
You think?
Hey.
A weasel?
A weasel. Like, who's the guy that you love using the weasel side-by-side picture for?
Oh, Hillary's guy. Who is that?
God, you should know
her campaign chairman.
John Podesta.
Who
actually kind of looks like a little bit like Ezekiel Emanuel.
Oh yeah, well they're all weasels.
Weasels.
That's why. So again, it's not going to work. It might make Obamacare ever so slightly less bad, but as long as you hold a gun to an insurance company's head and you say, insure this person for a disastrous event. Not that might happen in the future that they can actually write, actuary tables for, but something that's already happened.
Right.
That just doesn't work. That's not insurance. That's not how insurance is about transferring risk to, an uncertain risk that may or may not happen. Like, you buy, life insurance, you buy long-term care insurance, you buy car insurance. Because you might get in an accident. You don't go out and total your car.
Right, and the left always likes to bring up car insurance and claim that, people have to buy car insurance. People who have a loan or a lease on a vehicle are required by their lender to have insurance, to get full coverage, because they don't own the car yet. But if you own your own car, the only insurance you have is to insure against a person that you might hit.
But the difference is, they don't tell you to go buy insurance the day of your accident, the day you've totaled your car, and then go to a company and force them at the point of a government gun to say, insure this person. I just mean
in regards to forcing everyone in America to buy insurance or pay a tax.
Right.
Against, taxes typically you have a tax on something you purchase. It's just, don't get us started.
Yeah, okay, so it's still not going to work. And where Trump is going wrong on this, I agree with the executive order if he can do it constitutionally. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But I kind of think if he couldn't, that Rand Paul would probably be all over that. As we know, Rand Paul wasn't for the last couple of attempts at Obamacare repeal because they were fake repeals of Obamacare. They were not repealing Obamacare. They were nibbling around the edges.
They knew Obama was going to veto it.
Well, then they did more of a full repeal when they knew Obama would veto it. Now they're just, playing games, basically.
Right.
And not fulfilling their campaign promises. So, last night we talked a little bit about, some of this political correct BS, this cultural Marxism that is coming from the left, that's coming from the NFL, that's coming from ESPN, how they're infiltrating, leftists have infiltrated sports. And we talked about how we're never going to make a difference, and yet unless you punch the mouse, which is Disney's mouse. Mickey Mouse. Everybody loves Mickey Mouse, but he's really an evil little bastard because if you think about it, Disney funds ABC and funds failing ESPN. So they take their wholesome material and then they churn it into their filth and their communist propaganda into ESPN. Well, today we see, and you can see this on the Liberty Daily, thelibertydaily.com, that Disney, and this is via One America News Network, OANN.com, Disney is to cut about 200 jobs at its TV networks. Source.
And this is after cutting 250 jobs in its animation unit.
Right. Walt Disney Company plans to cut about 200 jobs at ABC and other cable networks, according to a source familiar with the matter. The largest number of layoffs will be in operational areas, but there would be no job cuts at ESPN, and that's because ESPN just went through a massive round of
where they cut
job
top-tier talent.
Yeah, like you talked about, the New York Times had reported in September that Disney had cut 250 jobs at the animation unit. So, the thing to do, if you're upset with ESPN, if you're upset with the filth, mostly filth they put on ABC, the thing to do is to boycott Disney and to let the company know. Write them and complain, get on social media, get on Twitter, do what the left does effectively. They use these mob-like tactics, and I hate to say it, we aren't going to get anywhere unless we crush them by using some of their own tactics.
Right.
We do it honestly, we do it morally, we do it straightforward. We don't create these algorithms to create these fake online accounts. We hit them with real people, real Americans, and we let them know that we will be voting with our wallets.
Well, just think about it. With Roger Goodell, this is tying a different topic in, sending the memo to NFL owners about, yes, we think that everyone should stand for the national anthem. That didn't have anything, the left is trying to make it seem like, oh, Donald Trump was threatening to do such and such. Donald Trump has no power over the NFL to do anything. He voiced his opinion. Yes, he did. But I believe the reason Roger Goodell said what he said was because viewership is down.
Right.
Ticket sales were down. People were demanding that their season tickets would be refunded. DirecTV, which is owned by AT&T, was issuing refunds because at the start of the season, when these players were protesting during the national anthem, people were calling and asking for their money back for their NFL season ticket, and they were granting it. And I remember seeing a shot of a Miami Dolphins game, and there were a ton of seats that were empty. So the NFL was getting hit in their pocketbook.
Right.
And they could see the writing on the wall. If this continues, this league is going to eventually fold if this continues.
Which is what the left would like, because it represents masculinity. It represents achievement. It represents hard work. And, the left doesn't want that. They want robots. They want equality. And by equality...
And they want feminist boys. Right.
They want femboys. And, the left wants communism, where everyone is exactly identical. There is no individuality. And that is not the way it is in the NFL. You have superstars. You have people making $20 million a year. You have people making $1 million a year. And they don't want that.
Don't you think it's interesting that it's the people who are making millions a year who are claiming that they're being forced to be on a plantation and be slaves?
Right. Like all the money Colin Kaepernick was making for being,
for
the most part, a second-string quarterback.
And not even a very good one.
Right. Okay, we're shifting gears. We like to shift gears because it keeps you people on your toes. You never know what's coming on the Burke Brigade. We might hit on a topic and we're not going to come back. Or we may come back.
We like to circle back.
We might circle back. We might circle around. We might do an end zone dance. We might throw a touchdown pass. You never know what's going to happen. And we have some exciting news at the end. So make sure and tune in. There is a major media announcement that is going to be, I think, a potential game changer. So make sure and tune in to the Burke Brigade. We probably have, maybe 11 minutes. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes we go 45 minutes. Sometimes we go an hour. I think our longest is an hour, too. That's our world record. Okay. So Sean Hannity and Senator Ben Sasse, say what you will, he is not a Trump licker, but go to Conservative Review, look at his Liberty score. I don't have it up. I believe it's either 100 or very close to 100.
Check it out, huh?
He is a solid conservative. I know some of the Trump cultists. I know you don't like him because he doesn't kiss Trump's butt. He, has supported him when he believes he's right and is doing conservative principles, and doesn't when he doesn't.
Which is what we have said.
Which is what everybody should do.
Yes, well, everyone should do. That was our biggest complaint about Obama bots.
If you're, Christian constitutional conservative, that is what you should do. You shouldn't get into these cults of personality. You shouldn't have these false idols, these objects of worship. What is it?
94%.
Yeah, so his...
highest in the state of Nebraska. Next, he's a senator. The other senator from Nebraska has a 58%.
Which is the F.
And the next closest person to him is a representative who has 67%.
So Sasse is an A. He's up there with the Louis Gohmerts, the Ted Cruzes, the Mike Lees of the world. Rand Paul, he is up there. He is not a politician. Well, he is now, obviously, but he was a former college professor.
College president.
And a college president. He was also a professor. He knows economics. He knows history. He's a smart guy. But when Trump crossed the line, let's put it this way. I like Trump's attacks on the media when he's attacking them for getting a story wrong. When he's attacking them for fake news, when it is fake news.
Right, because sometimes it is fake news. Like when you posted on the Liberty Daily the other day.
Right.
The leftist media is actually making up stories to try to hurt Trump.
And they are. They clearly are. A lot of their anonymous source stories turn out not to be true. There were many of those that happened that had to be retracted. About James Comey, for example, and that whole bit. The whole Russian thing has turned out to be... fake news.
We don't hear much about that anymore.
No, that's kind of subsided. It's just kind of gone away, or in the background. And the left has no shame. They're not going to admit that it was all fake news. But Trump did cross a line, which he is prone to do, because he's not a constitutionalist. I hate to bash the guy, but I doubt if he's ever even read the Constitution. Or if he did, it was in the 8th grade or something like that. But he clearly has no understanding of it, or very little. When he said that he was going to, perhaps start, he threatened to suspend FCC licenses of these networks, these media companies that don't toe his line. Now, that is way too much Big Brother. That is way too much George Orwell.
That is way worse than Obama trying to get Fox News off the White House press pool.
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's worse than what Obama said about Rush Limbaugh. When you actually are going to use the heavy hand of government to silence media, that is a clear violation of the First Amendment. So you can't do that. It's dumb. Trump is overstepping his boundaries. And of course, Sean Hannity can't see any of that because he's got his tongue firmly planted up Mr. Trump's rectum. And even though, I have been a fan of Sean Hannity's for years, he has gone off the deep end when it comes, and I still listen to him from time to time because I probably agree with him 8 or 90% of the time.
We
but he cannot ever say anything bad about Trump ever.
He abandons the principles that he's been spouting for decades now in order to cover for Trump. But go ahead and talk about what this spat.
So yesterday, Ben Sasse tweeted after Trump made his threats to the media, Mr. President, are you recanting on your oath you took on January 20th to preserve, protect, and defend the First Amendment? I think that's a reasonable question. And all Trump had to come back and say, this is a senator asking a question. No, I'm not, blah, blah, blah. Instead, Hannity, a cheerleader for Trump, just shamefully, says, one of my biggest mistakes in my career was supporting at Ben Sasse. Just useless. And of course, he thinks he's useless because he won't kiss Trump's sphincter.
Right, because he actually holds Trump to a conservative standard.
Well, and
a
the constitutional standard. And so Hannity came back with that. And then Sasse, I think, on this... gets the last laugh. He comes back and says, Sorry, Sean, you changed, not me. Some of us still believe in the Constitution. No president should play with censoring news they dislike. And that's true. We wouldn't accept this under Obama.
Nope.
We would not accept Obama. Can you imagine if Obama told Fox News, we're going to pull your FCC license?
Right. It would have been outrage from the right.
Blood in the streets. So we don't accept that from Obama. We're not going to accept it from Trump either.
No.
He needs to walk that the hell back. All right. So that's enough of that. We're hoping that spat goes away. We're hoping and praying that Sean Hannity will get his objectivity back at some point in time. You know, I listen to him when he bashes libs. He's very good at bashing libs. He gets that. But when Trump could recommend this, and has recommended the same exact same policies as Hillary Clinton. You know, like with Ivanka's government child care crap.
Right. And Hannity will defend it.
Well, or he just won't talk about it.
Or not have a guest host.
Right. Yeah.
A lot.
Right.
When he doesn't want to talk about something controversial Trump has done, Hannity will not suddenly not be in his chair at his microphone. You know, it's almost like he's afraid of losing access.
Like when Trump got in the dirty sack with Nancy and Chuck and Nancy, you know, on the debt ceiling, an old Sean Hannity would have been livid about that. Mm-hmm. Instead, I think he had a guest host. Either that or what he did when he came back was he blamed Mitch McConnell, who we absolutely hate.
I forgot about that.
He is the biggest rhino there is, and we want him out. #ditch Mitch. But that's no reason to get in bed with some leftists.
Right?
I mean, come on.
Come on, man.
Yeah, stand on, you know, the principles that the people that voted for you stand for. Don't do that stuff. So that's bad Trump. Good Trump was, you know, the executive order on health care.
That UNESCO?
Yeah.
Because they're anti-Israel, that UN group?
Right. The UN Communist Front Group, UNESCO. I mean, Trump has done some good things. He's cut regulations. You know, this tax bill is semi good. It's not going nearly far enough. I don't know why they don't ask for 100% and then maybe, you know, walk it back to 75. I thought he was this big negotiator, but instead they ask for, like, you know, where you're going to end up after the negotiation, and then you don't get half that. You know,
right.
you ask for the whole enchilada. Go for abolishing the IRS. You know, go for the.
That's what the Dems would do.
Absolutely. You think the Dems would go halfway? They're not going halfway on anything. So,
then you know what? And then if Obama would just push it and do it anyway, he'd say, because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
Gosh. Okay. So, again, now we're going to shift back. We're going to do our little end around here. We're going back to progressive pervert Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood Harvey, the sexual predator. By the way, did you hear that Hollywood Harvey filled in for
I'm glad you brought that up.
Piers Morgan when he was a CNN host?
Mm-hmm. And
guess who his guest was?
I'll let you tell them, hon, because I know.
Another sexual pervert, Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, one accused rapist and serial sexual abuser.
Two of them.
Interviewing another one.
Right. You can't make this up. Excuse me while I wet my tonsils. Okay. So, here's the thing. We talked about this yesterday, but we can't keep up. I mean, you could do a 10-hour show on this Hollywood Harvey stuff. We're not going to do that. But we did play some clips yesterday that proves Hollywood knew about this.
I know.
So this fake outrage, this, you know, oh, I'm suddenly appalled, I'm shocked.
Or this, I was abused. as well. I was sexually harassed 20 years ago. Like Matt Walsh said, there's nothing brave in coming out now that you've made your career and made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Brave would have been to come out then.
The bravery would have been to come out then to protect other people from having to go through it.
Now, I get it. You have these people in power. By the way, there have been men abused, too. It's not just against the women. You have
children.
These perverts
we
going...
talked about
yeah,
the
and children.
Hollywood pedophilia ring.
Right.
That Corey Feldman
And I think there's going to be a lot more about that.
Just
if there's
disgusting.
any justice in the world. But here's actress Gwyneth Paltrow and David Letterman in 1998. So we're talking, 19 years ago? Joking about it. This is at the Daily Caller flashback. Gwyneth Paltrow and David Letterman joked about Weinstein assaulting her. So this was 19 years ago. And you can't say they don't know. And yesterday we played clips from 30 Rock, which I believe was 2015, right, if I'm not mistaken, two years ago.
And an award show in 2013.
Right, where, again, they're joking about his abuse of...
Harvey abuses women sexually.
Hollywood Harvey. Hansy Harvey. Just despicable. So this stuff, the fake outrage, the fake surprise, the shock, Hillary Clinton coming out and saying, I didn't know. And, her husband's there yucking it up with his fellow sexual predator. She knew.
These women deserve to be believed, but her husband's accusers don't.
None of them do.
They deserve to be called trailer park trash,
right,
according to Hillary.
Like we talked about yesterday, and, Juanita Broderick said, Bill Clinton rape victim. You're not appalled. You're not shocked. Don't give me that crap. You knew. Mm-hmm. Just like you knew about your husband. So it's no big deal. Okay, we promised a big announcement.
This is huge.
This is huge. This is a game changer. Phil Robertson, the Robertson family patriarch of Duck Dynasty fame, is going to have his own show on CRTV.
What?
CRTV stands for Conservative Review TV, which has on it, awesome conservatives like Mark Levin, Michelle Malkin, Steve Dace, Steven Crowder, Matt Kibbe. Yeah, a lot of people.
Deneen
Borelli. They're adding new talent all the time. It's an up-and-coming network that we highly recommend here at the Burke Brigade. And Phil Robertson, the premise of the show, it's going to be to take on political correctness.
Yes.
Now, is there anybody better than taking on political correctness than Christian culture warrior Phil Robertson? And it was all over the media today. Maybe you missed it, maybe you didn't. But for example, at the Washington Times, they talk about it, and the name of the show is going to be In the Woods with Phil. And he was suspended, was he not, from A&E, from Duck Dynasty, because he had the audacity to quote a Bible verse
about homosexuality. Can't do that today.
You can't do that. Oh,
but you know what?
You call out the pervert.
On CRTV.
Yeah, that's a thing, because it's commercial free.
Right.
It's commercial free.
So you won't have these leftists having advertise. And this is precisely why Mark Levin started Levin TV. CRTV started off as Levin TV. Mark Levin said he didn't want to be emboldened to advertisers.
Right.
So they worked for a long time to make everything just beautiful. And their sets are just absolutely gorgeous. So that they're based upon subscriptions. Unlike the Blaze sometimes has their feet in two things. 2 sets of water. One sometimes, I don't know if you still can because it wasn't available when we were traveling. It used to be on one. It used to be available on what's the DirecTV's competitor? Dish Network,
right,
and some other cable outlets. Or you could subscribe. CRTV is subscription only, so
right,
you can't touch them.
So you can get a special deal on CRTV. Phil Robertson, I believe it starts October 30th, does it not?
23rd, I think, honey.
23rd. Anyway, it's coming up, folks. But I tell you, probably any of these host shows, Crowder, Levin, Malkin, all of these are amazing. Steve Dace, we watch and listen to all the time. He is solid
Spot
as
on.
well. But you can get a special deal if you go to the Liberty Daily right now. You can see that special deal. If you're tired of fake news, you can go to the Liberty Daily, and if you scroll down, you'll find that special offer. And enjoy that. TheLibertyDaily.com.
TheLibertyDaily.com.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. TheLibertyDaily.com. Visit TheLibertyDaily.com. You will not be sorry. You will thank us later. You will thank us.
And you'll want to tell your friends.
You'll definitely want to tell your friends. I mean, you'll want to say, look, if you want to be getting all the news that matters, the news that you can be equipped to go out there and make a difference to restore America's greatness, go to thelibertydaily.com. We put up the best in conservative news, the best in conservative commentary. We don't typically, very, 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 very rarely will we link to a mainstream media site.
Yes.
We're not interested in driving traffic
Nope.
and propping up the New York Crimes or the Washington Dumb as a Post or any of those leftist networks. We want to help conservative media because we want to make a difference in this country. And with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for tuning into the Burke Brigade. God bless you.
And God bless America.